Welcome back. You're watching Politically Correct with me, Maya Hayakawa. If you're joining us just now today, we've been discussing all about our youth sexual reproductive health. And right before the break, I was looking at some of the key comments that our viewers had in regards to whether we should be introducing condoms and contraceptives to our schools as we see that the teenage pregnancy rates are increasing within our youth. And one of the comments that came out was that TVs should be banned, and that, you know, social media has a very big role to play in this and are exposing our children. And so especially it being the information age where children have a lot of access to internet, have access to, you know, and we know all that goes on in the internet. We know that there are lots of inappropriate sites that people can go to. What can we do to address this?
First of all, I think, you know, it depends on the individual, that person, that individual. We need to bring up young people and, you know, show them that this is what is right, you know, or give them the information, give them information about the pros and cons of visiting such sites, the pros and cons of, you know, of engaging in sexual behavior, you know, and then from there they can make an informed decision. I wouldn't like to see a situation where you want to act like you know, like a soldier. You know, you're telling people you can't watch this, you can't watch this, because people will continue doing it even when they're hiding. So, and I also think we can use media even for a positive cause. For example, as an organization, we have established media, you know, online platforms where even young people spend a lot of time. For example, Facebook. That's a point where we make sure that we give factual information on sexual and reproductive health. As much as there's some negative energy online, we can also create some positive information there. You know, they can learn about STIs, they can learn about how they can even promote comprehensive sexuality education. They can even share information with their peers on health, on how to have healthy living, on healthy sexual behavior. Because us is not just to tell you do this or do that. Us is our mandate is to give you proper information, factual information, information which has been tested, information which is appropriate, information which has been approved even by the government, so that at the end of the day you can make an informed decision. And I think it is also good for us to start promoting decision making even among young people, because that way you're also, you know, appreciating the fact that despite having a lot of negative content on the internet, on TV, we can still use those platforms to air out or to broadcast good messages which are promoting their health and well-being, and at the end of the day these young people are able to make informed decisions.
I like that, and what I like about that is because one of the opposing views that people have against educating our children is that we are breeding a sex ground. And what I like about that is that what you're saying is that we are not telling you what or what you should not do. What we are doing is empowering you with information. Thereafter you can decide what you'd want to do or what you wouldn't want to do. And the question that I have, I know Wayan supports and advocates for a comprehensive sexuality education program to be, you know, adopted within our education system. What I would like you to comment on is what exactly does it mean to have a comprehensive sexuality education, and what is the reaction like when you are engaging with the governments to have this implemented?
As a youth advocate, having dealt with government in previous occasions, because Wayan has held a number of advocacy forums where we have called in Ministry of Health, Ministry of Youth. We've gone to grassroots in counties and talked to members of the county assembly. Governments like best practices, and they wouldn't want to go far. We wouldn't want to tell them look at Netherlands. No, we'll tell them look at Uganda. Uganda currently there is approved by government the teaching of comprehensive sexuality education into their education curriculum. What Uganda is trying to prevent is that...
at what age do they start rolling out the education program?
They start at class 4. Yeah, so it's in the curriculum from class 4. So what they're trying to prevent is that Uganda saw that they have rising indicators on HIV and AIDS. So they quickly stepped in to address that. So having a comprehensive sexuality education curriculum, this entails, we of course we say that it is age appropriate, because you can tell a class 2 child that when someone touches you in a certain way, that is not right. Report to your parent. To us as Wayan, that is sexuality education. You can tell someone who is in class 1 that you shouldn't go with a stranger who is not your mom or dad. You see, that is sexuality education. And as they grow up, as they reach class 8, that is when they start getting to puberty. You know what to tell them. You know how to tell girls on how they handle menstruation hygiene. That is sexuality education. As they reach Form 4, you know what to tell them on how to prevent themselves, because at that time their body is changing. As their body is changing, young people experience things that's the peak of the adolescence age, and you know what comes with it. We've all been there. So you know the right information to give them. And we normally say that information is power. Just give a young person information, and when they need it, they'll know how to use it.
Now, the question that I have is, in terms of Uganda, what is happening right now? Are we seeing a positive effect? Are we seeing the benefits of actually incorporating this in the education system so far? Are there any reports that have come out?
They just started it recently, so I'm sure with time when they'll do evaluation, basically they can be able to give in good reports. But also when you look at Uganda, it's somewhere where the cultural practices of marrying off girls at a younger age was at its peak. We know of the lifestyle among young people, because universities in Uganda we know of Kenyans who leave Kenya to go study in Uganda to pursue education. So you find with that influx of young people, a number of challenges come in, also with the media influence. So Uganda is trying to step in an intervention that will really come of benefit, and other African countries, I hope Kenya can learn from them.
All right, and the question that I have for you, Wanjohi, is now in terms of the practical aspect of this curriculum that we are all proposing, what would that look like? I mean, is that going to be a weekly class? Is it going to be a monthly class? Is it going to be, I mean, are you tested on it? Is it part of the examinations? I mean, what does the program look like, on a very practical level?
Yeah, that depends on how it will be designed, and also how what you want to achieve and how fast you want to achieve it.
Is there currently a proposed design of the program?
It is something which is proposed, and it is something that we've been pushing for, not just us, but also other organizations who have the same interest as we do on comprehensive sexuality education. But really, what really can dictate that is the resources, the willingness. Because at some point you'll need to train teachers on the same. At some point you need you need resources. You need to allocate time for it. But it will be my joy if it can be a subject which can be tested. Not really just to test you and tell you that, oh yes, you've passed, or yes, you've failed, but just to make sure that you are informed. For example, in our experience, myself and Meshach, we went through the same comprehensive sexuality education when we were adolescents at a very young age. And at that time, what really made us, or the approach which really made us or got us interested in that program, is the design in which it was used, the design which was used. For example, as the program which was called The World Starts With Me, which we learned, was ICT based. As a young person, you're fascinated by technology. You want to learn how to use a computer. You want to learn. So, and then that program is incorporated there. So, when you're learning about how to use a computer, when you're learning about how to use the internet, at the same time, you have an opportunity to learn about comprehensive sexuality education, and there are quite a number of lessons there. So, it can be used.
What lessons do we have?
You have how your body changes, you have healthy relationships, you have STIs and HIV. It's a whole lesson on that. You have preteen pregnancy, all that kind of stuff. it's quite comprehensive.
Now, I'm assuming that for the healthy relationships, why have that in there, the healthy relationships, and what really is that all about?
For example, I don't know if you heard of the other scenario just a few weeks back. Young people, I mean, I think it was a group of boys, when they just closed school, they met a girl and they just decided to rape her. Simply because they were just in a boys' school, you know, and they're just fascinated about girls. They don't get to meet them. When we talk about healthy relationships, we want young people to learn how to relate with their opposite sex. Not just necessarily having sex. No, we are not saying that. We just want them to know how to relate with them as people who live in the same society, as individuals. More often than not, sometimes you'll find that some young people will view, let's say young boys, will view girls as just sex objects, which is not right. So we just want them to know that these are boys, they have certain needs. These are girls, they have certain needs. You don't need to command them. You don't need to treat them in a certain kind of way. There's a manner in which all of you can have a healthy relationship.
And what I like about that is that when you're discussing healthy relationships, you're not just addressing this issue of sexuality and reproductive sexual health, but you're also addressing other issues that we are dealing with as a nation, like domestic violence.
Exactly.
We are dealing with things like substance abuse. We're dealing with things like divorce rates and conflicts. We're seeing that divorce rates are increasing. We're dealing with things like relations and family. So it really is not just about sexuality itself, but it's an all-round.
It's a wholesome approach. It's a wholesome approach. When you talk about sexual and gender-based violence, which is a very big thing in this country. The other day we heard of a doctor who is sedating people just to rape them, right? Which is not right. So when we unpack all these issues, we'll come to a point where young people have a very clear understanding about comprehensive sexuality education or sexual and reproductive health for that matter, you know. And in relation to that, they'll be able to make informed decisions collectively. And I'm very sure in some of the countries, like Meshach has mentioned, and others which have progressed with comprehensive sexuality education, there has been a significant decline in some of the cases that we're talking about. For example, HIV prevalence, for example, sexual and gender-based violence, because people have a better understanding of issues. Not just saying that simply because my dad or my grandfather a long time ago used to batter my mother, then I should do the same. No, you are informed knowing that this is a woman, you appreciate them in that way. This is a man, you appreciate him in that way. And that's how a healthy relationship can come in.
Thank you for that. And final question as we come to the end of our discussion today. The question that I have for you is now the way forward. What are the solutions? What are the steps we need to take forward as a nation, as a country, as an individual, as a teacher, as a parent? What are the steps we need to take?
First, we must come to the point of appreciating the strides we are making as a nation. Just recently, not too long ago, the government launched the National Adolescent Reproductive Health Policy of 2015. These are a very big step in how issues of adolescence will be handled. And they outlined that we will not only talk about 15-year-olds, but the government has gone further down. Now they're saying 10 to 19 years old. So these are a very big step for the government. It's taking a particular direction as a ministry. Even though the other bills stalled at Parliament, as a ministry with the constitutional powers they have, they've gone ahead and brought in a bill that will be able to address this. But as we go forward, we should now look at this. We have life skills education taught in schools. And it's given time, though it's not examined. The same way we've introduced life skills, hoping that as a country we can deal with issues like corruption. It's the same way now we should introduce comprehensive sexuality. I'll still stress that age appropriate, so that we start addressing some of these issues that face us as a nation. Because also with a growing population and the economy that we have, we might reach somewhere and we can't be able to, as a government, it can't be able to provide for the growing population if teenagers will continue being pregnant. And also it goes on to the health of the maternal health, women who have given birth. Chances, studies show that a kid born from an adolescent mother has lesser chances of surviving than a kid born from a woman who is older enough. So we look at these issues. Again, we see that girls 15 to 19 years old, the KDHS 2014 says that birth-related complications is the leading cause of death among these groups. So we are losing a lot as a nation. And sadly enough, it's women. And I want to believe that a nation that on going forward, we should try to keep girls in school. Because once we keep girls in school, we've tried to evade a number of risks that these girls would have faced. At home, they will have been mutilated by communities who do that. At home, they will have been married off. At home, they will have gotten pregnant. So let's try to keep girls in school, and we will have prevented a lot as a country.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for today's discussion. Very insightful. And I would like to wish you all the best of luck as you go forward and keep advocating for sex education in our school.
Thank you.
Thought-provoking discussion, an honest discussion, a lens into real issues that are facing real people today. That's what Politically Correct is all about. What did you guys think of today's show? As usual, send in your views and your comments on our Facebook page. You can find us on Politically Correct Kenya. Tweet at us at PCorrectKE is where you'll find us. Also, if you have any suggestions for topics or issues that you would like me to address on the show, then do voice them out. Remember, missed episodes are available on our YouTube page. Simply go to TVC Kenya and the Politically Correct playlist. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely evening, everyone.